Okay, we are here. We are live. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, youtube.com/Bryan Fonseca. Joe Delera is back. I'm dragging him back in here again with me. Um, Not sure. I mean, this may be it. Like, because we're doing buckets on Action Network um
Yeah.
before the medal games. So if you do hear from us again here, because you are going to hear us again on buckets and on Cash That. So like there's a lot
It's a lot of
a
things.
lot of cross promotion going on. Listen, guys, the Olympics happen once every 4 years, and it's almost over.
It's a lot of fun, but
Yes, it's a lot of fun and it's a lot of work. But we have a semifinal. We actually got here. I feel like we just previewed the tournament, and now we're gonna get to semifinals. Comments, questions, we will take those as the show progresses. And subscribe to the Cash That podcast on YouTube or wherever you get pods, because you can listen to it wherever you feel like it and whenever you feel like it. And
fair enough.
if you're Joe, you might listen to it at 2x speed. I can't do that with
I'm a
pods yet.
freak. Yeah, I'm a 2xer. So actually, it's like 1.8 for the most part. Like 1.8 is like the safe zone, but sometimes I go to 2. Depends on who's talking.
Okay, so what we have, let's get right into it because we're not doing hour today. We say that,
We just
but
can't do it.
we mean it. But we're just like we're
Our
this is
significant others are at their wits' end.
it's the fourth quarter of this. Okay, so first game today, Germany versus Greece. Germany did not cover the first half line, but they did cover for the game, and most importantly, they won. Like just full stop, they won as expected. We
Yep.
actually had and this is actually not a betting specific thing. Cash that is more betting specific, but I am bringing this up because we did both go in on some of the same bets, basically. A bunch of them actually, and one of them was Germany to go further than Greece. And when
Yep.
the brackets lit up and we got to this point, it was like, oh, this is exciting. Germany ahead of Greece. Germany's playing Greece. We expect them to finish
Perfect.
ahead of them, and it's like, all right, head to head, boom, got that. Um, they beat them. We probably don't really have any big takeaways on it, but the main thing is that Germany is going to play France, who we'll get to in a second. I want to go in a sequential order in terms of the games. Serbia versus Australia was interesting. Serbia wins in overtime. Before we get into Serbia versus Team USA, because that's who they're going to play, and we could probably do that matchup first.
Yeah.
But any takeaways from Serbia, Australia, and in terms of like looking ahead as well for
Man,
Serbia.
that I'll tell you what, it's just kind of that Jokic, if you have him on your team, it doesn't matter what the score is. Like there's always a chance to come back. And I think that that's really the biggest takeaway is that his difference when he was on the court was incredible. That was, I think, to me, like the widest difference there. And then Bogdanovich is like starting to kind of heat up a little bit. So if he's going to be cooking, that's somebody that I think Team USA would be a little bit concerned about, at least in this next game.
Australia was shooting their doors off. Serbia's had some really bad luck when it comes to 3-point shooting, which we're going to get into in a little bit. They've had some really bad luck on the receiving end of some 3-point shooting. This one they were able to navigate and won anyway. Let's get into Serbia versus Team USA, because Team USA ends up France. First of all, France knocks out Canada. We'll get to them when we talk about France versus Germany, and then Team USA blows the doors off of Brazil, which it was expected. They even covered.
Yeah.
Which
Not
in
super
hindsight,
surprised.
yeah, in hindsight, I was like, huh. Remember, I was thinking about what was the final score to that, because I was thinking of the total team under for Brazil, and then I was like,
Yeah, you decided not to because it was just
yeah,
like it was too narrow. It was just a
they
little
went
too
over it.
narrow.
It was
Yeah.
122 to 87, and the total team under was 80. And I was like, if Team USA scores 100 and something, Brazil's just gonna get it. Okay.
It's just inevitable. Yeah.
We don't like that Team USA is minus 17 and a half.
I hate it. I've already bet. I feel un-American, but I've bet Serbia plus 17.5. I think that is the way to go. Like like Jokic played 31 minutes last time and they played to a standstill, plus minus 0 in those minutes. And that was despite some like crazy shooting variance, I think, that really all went against Serbia. So for me, the number I think is ballooned. And like if you were following the Action app, I'm not going to bet Serbia money line. I might bet like a Serbia, or like an either team by 7.5 or something like that, like a margin bet. But I bet Jokic at halftime to win the Olympics MVP at 100 to 1. Because I was like, this just doesn't make any sense. The money line for Australia, like the money line against Australia was plus 170. And I was like, I can't get to a number that would get me to 100 to 1.
You're underselling. You're underselling it actually, because what you did was you bet it twice,
That's true. Yeah.
which means people, he can now cash out of one of them and already make a profit, and
Yeah.
then the other one just ride it out just
Yeah.
because
So
vibes.
let's see.
I saw that and I was like, oh, I'm jealous of that.
I know. Well, dude, that's like one of the things, honestly, I talk about that a lot. I talk about when I bet uh like any like super long shot. I try to bet it twice because like then it gives you that optionality. Like you don't get into that like situation where it's all over like one of the betting like websites, they're like, should this guy cash out? Like what should he do? And it's like
Yeah, right.
it's so much easier if you don't have to make the decision. You're just like, yeah, like it is like life-changing money. Like I could do this. But for me, I was like, if they win, it's because like Jokic is going to obviously have to have an incredible game if they come back. And right now, it functionally gave me like plus 300 on the money line at halftime, as opposed to like the plus 170 that was being offered in the market because of what I'm getting as a cash out value right now. So just some creative things that you can do when you're betting on pretty much anything. But obviously, it's got to be a legal book that you know is going to offer you a little bit of a cash out. So like right now, I bet it twice. I just threw $10 on it each time because it was $10 to win 1,000. The cash out on each of them is $51.41. So we actually did better than that. We actually got like 4-1 at halftime now. It's nice. It's nice to have that optionality.
Jesus Christ. Okay. So Serbia beats Australia in overtime. Team USA, they beat Brazil. They handle them. And now Team USA is 17.5. They beat Serbia the first time. I think it was 110 to 84. So by 26. I believe they covered also. I feel like the spread is actually similar, maybe a little bit less than what it was before. But regardless, that was the game where Kevin Durant didn't miss, like literally didn't miss. Team USA couldn't miss, and Serbia couldn't make anything. And Serbia, and this is why I kind of like, I'm with you on the 17.5, like them covering it at least. Well, one, we think Serbia is a better team than they've shown at times. I think Australia is good, but I think Serbia like didn't play their best game today, if that makes sense.
Agreed.
Definitely not in the first quarter or half, really. But at halftime, as they were down 12, and this is one that I was proud of, I hit them on the money line. I was like, they're going to win this game. They're going to come back and win this game. We were both like, Jokic probably isn't going to sit that much, whatever. And they come back. They get to overtime. Takes a minute. Listen, Australia is a good team. They got a bronze medal last Olympics. But, they have some questions about them because their core is getting older, and 75% of their team or 67% of their team is 28 or older. So next Olympics, Australia is going to be in a little bit of trouble if they don't replenish that. Serbia, in terms of shooting, I want to throw this at you. They're shooting 32% from three in the Olympics. 4-game sample.
It's kind of rough. Yeah.
32%. That's on 27 attempts. So that's like a healthy sample size. 27 doesn't sound like a lot, but 27 in 40 minutes as opposed to an NBA where it's 48 minutes, that's a pretty big difference. That is less than half of their total field goal attempts, which is 68 per game, but still that's a healthy portion of their shot diet, if you will. Doing quick math here. So that's like in the 40s. They shot in the World Cup last year, more of a sample size than no Nikola Jokic. They shot almost 38% from three. And this was with more than 25 attempts per game. And then in Eurobasket 2 years ago, they shot 41% from three. And they played 6 games in Eurobasket, 8 in the World Cup. And that was on 27 attempts per game. So are we due for, and I was just telling you, I don't like this term, but I'm going to use it anyway because I don't know another term to use. Positive regression. I feel like we can just use progression as a substitute, but whatever. In terms of shooting, like we think Serbia's shooting is going to bounce back. That's probably part of this, is it not?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's between that and the fact that Team USA like shot over 50% from three. So like you have this scenario where you're looking at these two teams that really couldn't have been further apart. And honestly, I question whether like what things Serbia did in that game, like whether they like not that they weren't trying to win, but you need to beat Team USA once. Are you in the group stage where you are? I think they were pretty comfortable thinking that they could get out of the group by beating Puerto Rico and by beating South Sudan. I do question like how many things that they do to really like show their hand, because there's at the end of the day, you can't go into the Olympics and say like, all right, we are gonna like put out every single thing that we can do to win this game when we have gold medal aspirations. So I do question if like what kind of adjustments they have. And like Jokic played 31 minutes. The adjustment is that he can just play more. You know, like I think that that's a pretty significant swing for the Serbian team.
9 for 37 from three is what they shot against Team USA the first time they played each other.
Team USA was 18 for 32. So it's like, you know, there's some room there.
Yeah, and for a lot of that game, Team USA was shooting 60% from three. No joke. They ended at like 56.
It's because Kevin Durant didn't miss. He missed the one shot in like the third or fourth quarter. So, I mean, when you look at that scenario, it's like, okay, like, are we going to see that replicated again? Maybe, but it's still a tough task. It's not like this Serbian team is bad or anything. Like, they got a lot of talent.
Against Puerto Rico, which, I mean, whatever, but like against Puerto Rico, they shot 6 of 21 from three as well. South Sudan was the first game where it felt like, okay, they're making their threes. They made 52%. They only shot 21, which is very interesting. I remember watching that game like, oh, they're actually making shots. And in hindsight, they didn't shoot that much. Even their field goal attempts are low, but that was also the game where they got a shit ton of free throws. They got 31. And Luol Deng and Royal Ivy were not happy with that.
Yeah.
And then today against Australia, 9 of 29. So really, they've only shot the ball well one time. They've only shot above 31% once. And that was a South Sudan game where they were above 50%.
I mean, look, I think it's a really tough scenario for so far. Obviously, like, it's a tall task. You got to be Team USA. But there are some things where you're going to look at this and say, like, all right, like, I don't think that this team is like fraudulent. Like, I don't think that they're being floated by outlier performances in a positive way. I think if anything, they're overcoming poor performances. So to me, like, Team USA doesn't they're not going to care about win margin. So it's like if they're up big, like maybe you do see like Halliburton get minutes, Tatum get minutes, like whatever, like late in the game, you can backdoor cover like a 17.5. So I really only see one path, and it's, you know, you got to take Serbia, you got to grab those points. And, you know, I think the winner of this game at the end of the day probably can still win the gold.
What do we think about props? They're not up yet from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, which refreshing.
Yeah. Hopefully they're out soon, because I mean, this game is going to be here before you know it. Is there anything that we're targeting? Because I know you like LeBron rebounds. I think you got hooked on LeBron rebounds.
Dude, I got hooked in the worst way today because I guess LeBron got like poked in the eye. He played fucking 16 minutes and he had 12 of the 12.5 RA that we needed. So I'll probably be back on that. You know what I do think I'm going to bet? I'm probably going to bet Jokic steals. He's been like,
playing the passing lanes. He's been playing safety.
Passing lanes. Like, that's the best thing that he can do. And Team USA turns the ball over like a lot, because they are like a little bit flippant with the ball. If we're going to be real,
the way to put it. Yeah.
And so I think that there's a little bit of opportunity there. So his line is probably going to be 1.5. I'm definitely interested in a 1.5 line for Jokic. Other than that, maybe like Bogdanovic stuff. It's tough. LeBron has been great from like an assist perspective, pretty much every game too. So it's there's a lot of different ways you can go. I figure that this is going to be the game where the pecking order is like really established for Team USA. And like these are the dudes that are going to play, because Brazil, they didn't need to do it. I question, like, I want to play an Ant under, because to me, like, as good as he is, if you got to play your guys, right? Like if LeBron's going to play 30, Curry maybe 30 or like 20 something, Booker's going to play 20. Durant's got to play like 20, 25, right? And then you're playing AD. You're going to play like basically all the bigs because you need to defend Jokic for like 40 minutes. I could see maybe there's a path to an Ant under here.
There's a line out there that piqued my interest, but I'm probably not going to play it. But it's a Serbia first quarter, USA to win the game, plus 400.
That's not
Just in case they get off to a slow start again, which has happened. It's happened more so with the women's team than the men's team this year. Okay, we can move off this game. Just I guess broad statement. Who do we think is going to win? I mean, we both have Serbia to cover, but we're probably still going with Team USA to win, right?
Yeah, Team USA is going to win this game. I would imagine,
unless Serbia just shoots
the lights out.
Yeah,
but
50% from 3, 45% from 3 on 30 attempts, and Team USA just is cold. Like there has to be a shooting, like a big shooting difference. They have to shoot 10 percentage points better than Team USA. I feel like something.
There's like a 90% chance that I'm probably going to parlay Jokic and LeBron to have triple doubles in this game.
I'm probably going to be with you on that. Actually.
Yeah, this is the one. This might be the one.
It'll be a 1/10 of a unit at most, but I might ride with you on that. Okay, let's do the other one, because this one, oh my god,
this is a powerhouse game.
So France, Germany, France with the upset against Canada, which we did say was possible. They finally looked clean offensively in the first quarter, not the entire game, but they sat Rudy Gobert. He did play a little bit. There was conflicting reports that came out as to what exactly happened. Was it injury related? Was it not? There was a surgery report, and then something with the finger involved. So I'm still getting the pulse on that and what's going on there with Rudy Gobert. But we know that he did not play in the first quarter at all, and he didn't even start the second quarter. He came in for a little bit. So that's something to watch. And in theory, this would free up France's offense, because against Canada in particular, you don't really need the two big lineup.
Yeah.
You kind of just need, with him and Victor Wembanyama, of course, you kind of just need like
one dude.
Yeah, because Canada's not appreciably big. And then with Rudy Gobert, like he'll be more needed in this game, assuming he's healthy. He'll be more needed in this game. And listen, France won 82-73. That was the final. Had a total team under 78.5. And once Evan Fournier hit that stupid 3 at the end,
that was it. It was toast.
That's it. So Rudy Gobert played 3 minutes in this game.
Bizarre scenario.
Yes. And Victor Wembanyama didn't even play that well in terms of scoring. Now, boards, he gave you
everything
12,
else,
5 assists, but shot 2 for 10. This was very much Isaiah Cordonier, Gershon Yabusele, Matthias Lee-Zort, EuroLeague champion, and Evan Fournier. What do we do with this French performance before we get into Germany?
I mean, I struggle to take a lot away from it, right? Because I think it's good that they made some decisions in terms of what their lineup was, but they still like almost gave it away. Like they kept like almost giving it away, despite having like that big lead. And to me, this is more of a bet. I think that the storyline from this game is more about Canada than it was about France, because we have been saying that Canada is like not a great construction for what they have on the roster. You have a lot of dudes that do the same thing. It's like a poor man's Team USA, no offense, but like that's just what it is. And to me, they didn't really play great team basketball, and that's something that Germany does do on a nightly basis. So to me, that was what the biggest difference was. in that game, and or I'm sorry, France. France still plays like pretty good team basketball, but to me it was like too much of like Dylan Brooks just chucking up the ball. Like it was just there was a lot of bad that you watched in that Canada game, and it's like Shai, as good as he is, it's a criticism that I've had of him. You know, there's not a lot of criticisms of Shai, right? But at the same time, like this was a game that you needed him to go out there and put up like 40, because like the rest of the team just didn't have it, and that's just not something that he really is going to go out and do. Um, it just doesn't happen. So he's going to get you like in a 40-minute game, he's going to get you his like 20 whatever points, and you know you need more. They needed more than that.
Dylan Brooks was 1 for 9. Shai-gilgeous Alexander was 9 for 19, which isn't bad. 1 for 14, 1 for 4 from 3, 1 for 14. That would have been crazy.
Yeah.
Nuts. Lou Dort, Dylan Brooks, RJ Barrett, Shai-gilgeous Alexander, collectively 4 for 16 from 3. The team was 5 for 21.
And that's the thing. Like they've been getting through some of these games with incredible shooting from those guys who like none of them are great 3-point shooters. I don't care what you say about any of them. Like they're all mid at shooting the 3 ball. So like again, this is a closer 3. Yeah. So it's just it's rough. Like that's tough. And I wonder what the construction is going to be at the Olympics next year. I think they were hoping obviously to have Zach Edey, but that didn't pan out for them during this Olympics. But I still don't know how much that would have like totally helped. I think it would have been better than not having him, but I still have some questions about like how good this Canada team really is at the end of the day.
Germany just beat France. Like we just saw this.
Yeah.
85-71. And it was never a close game, right? Like after the first quarter, it was 24-18. It didn't even feel like it felt worse because France was just struggling so much offensively and stopping Germany defensively because Germany, look, Dennis Schroeder wants to run and all them dudes want to run with him. Like this is the second highest potent offense. It was before we got to the Final Four and it still is now. And we just saw this game when the line dropped because as soon as France beat Canada, we were like, all right, what's the line? Let's see what it is. Germany -1. Within 5 minutes, this shit was at -3. And now it's at like 5-ish, 4.5. 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. We jumped on that right away at -1.
That was a crazy line. Just a crazy line. I mean,
we just saw this game.
That was one of those. It was literally one of those. I was like, "What the fuck is this? Like, why do we have this?" So I was admittedly a little shocked about that game.
I just think Germany's going to win this game. Germany has not lost a high stakes international basketball game since 2022. They are 12-0. Well, technically 13-0 if you count the bronze medal game for Eurobasket, but they are 13-0 straight through since 2022, since the last game of Eurobasket.
Yeah,
in which they won a bronze medal. And they won all 8 games in the World Cup last year. They won every game in the Olympics this year. I don't think any of their games have been close. Like,
yeah,
Japan, Brazil, like the Brazil one, like Brazil was, doing the Brazil thing, hanging in there. They're tough, but Brazil can't score, so Germany pulled away. Like Germany's whooping ass. And to me, it's like when you put the number at like 1 to start, like I'm gonna be all over that. If it goes, I think it's going to stay around where it's at because I think
it's settled.
France could have some bounce back.
Yeah.
Some people be like, oh, France, without, because a lot of people just like Rudy Gobert. They'll be like, oh shit, they'll be better without him, and they're home, and all these different things. What are we looking at for this game in terms of angles? I guess
for me, when these two teams played before, Germany did shoot incredibly well from 3-point range. They shot 46%. They were 12 for 26 compared to 9 for 24 is what France had.
Mm-hmm.
Both like relatively strong, like 3-point performances, I would say. Germany, like they had the game like pretty in hand, I feel, for most of the game. but at the same time, when these like it's like when you play teams like multiple times in a short period of time, it gets to be very like, well, we kind of know what this team's about. Like we know what this team wants to do. I think it's hard. It's hard to win a lot of games like that in a row.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my hesitation falls. But at the same time, the number was bad. You had to take Germany -1. We were hoping we were going to see like a stupid line where France was favored. Uh, Unfortunately, we didn't get that. But even in the prep games,
Really close though.
yeah, even in the
Really
prep games
close.
though, like uh, Germany won one game, or I guess, yeah, Germany won one game 70-65, and then there was another game where France won 90-66. The 90-66 game, I don't think that either Wagner brother played. So kind of throwing that one right out the window. And in the 70-65 game, France didn't play Wemby. So we do the only game that we really have the current iteration of the players is from the group stage. And
One
even
that
then,
counted.
yeah, and even then, if Rudy's not playing, maybe it's a little bit different.
Rudy in that game I remember him blocking a bunch of shots, but not doing anything else.
Yeah.
So he had 4 points and 4 blocks, 1 rebound in 18 minutes, where he shot 2 for 2. He only took 2 shots. Dennis Schroeder and Franz Wagner had 26 points each.
Yeah. Yeah. That was where my thing too is like, if Rudy doesn't play, I guess they basically have to play in a drop no matter what. I guess you can kind of play a little bit more at the level with Wemby. But still, like, I think Schroeder and Franz both are going to probably eat in this game. Like, I don't think that France has the guard play to stop either of them, honestly. Maybe we see like more Ntilikina, but like that's a precarious thought.
Well, he played 17 minutes today and started. He got 5 points, 5 turnovers, and 5 fouls. So there's that. All of his points came from the free throw line. I'm interested in Schroeder points. I'm interested in Schroeder threes. Points and threes. Maybe assists. He had 9.
I just need to know where the line comes out at.
Yeah. 17 and a half.
Really what the problem is.
He's been in the high teens. 17 and a half ish. And Franz has always been like a couple points higher, 19, maybe 20. To which I'm always like, I go back and forth with that one. I haven't taken a Franz Wagner prop all Olympics. Maybe I should have.
I think I took one. He's been good, but like it's tough to swallow some of those sometimes because you're just like his ceiling just like I know he's got ceiling, but at the same time it just he's not scoring 30. Like he's not like one of those dudes that like goes out there and is gonna rip off 30.
The problem is he sucks from 3 again. That's really what it is. If he was comfortably making more threes than one, he would probably be at like 22, 23 instead of 20.
Yeah,
but
some would say this is just regression to the mean, though. For him, like this is just what it is.
Season, we saw last season. He's averaging 21 points a game. Schroeder is averaging 18 and 9. Real point guard shit. 18 and 9 assists. Not you new fucking point guards that be getting 22 and 4 and not even playmaking for anybody on your team.
Not even really playmaking.
Fuck, man. I'm tired of that shit. Listen, my point guard got to get 6-7 assists per game. You got the ball that much in your hand. You're a Knick fan. You're a Knick fan. Jalen Brunson does that. You know, he scores a lot, but he does that.
Same time, he gets it done.
Isak Bonga has also been fun. Their 3rd leading scorer. The former Laker Wizard trying to get back into the league. There's a lot of fun, like Germany role player stuff to watch out for. Voigtman boards we were talking about is how much is he going to crash the glass, and without Rudy Gobert potentially we don't know, but like with a limited Rudy Gobert, what's he going to do?
The lineups have been so weird because like the last 2 games he didn't really play as much. He started last game and then didn't really play as much because I think like Thiemann was like crushing it because he was actually scoring too, but like just really been tough actually. I've been a little surprised with the Germany big man rotation. It's been a little bit looser than I would have thought. Tice is obviously playing, but they've even like cut like Obst. His minutes have been really
Yeah.
funky lately.
Yeah.
He's scored. He's only played 8 minutes and 13 minutes in the last 2 games. So really bizarre. And he actually, I would be interested almost in like an under for him because he scored 3 points against France. And then in the 2 preliminary games, he scored 0.
What was his points last game? Was it
It was
5.5?
6.5,
Yeah, it was
and
something
then
really low.
7.5. You don't want under a 6. You want because you want it to be where if he makes like 2 threes, you're still good.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
but
6.5 is a sweet spot. He
yeah,
he had 3 in 13 minutes against France, 1 of 3 shooting. All from
yeah,
3, of course, because shoots threes. That's what he does. I think Germany's gonna win this game, and then we'll get Germany Team USA.
yeah,
Is ultimately where I'm at, and we just shouted out a bunch of the things that we'll be looking for. Germany, I mean, they played 9 last time out against France, which was interesting. And it should be noted, this is something else to look out for if you're interested in more team-oriented stuff. Germany was winning at halftime, 48-27. 48-27. Going into the third quarter, it was 69-46. And then France, obviously, they cut the deficit in the fourth quarter, but not by much. Like, really, it was worse than 85-71 is the point. This was kind of like a garbage time score where
yeah,
France had 25, which is like one of their highest scoring quarters in the Olympics so far because their offense has been blech. They didn't score over 20 points in a quarter aside from that. So it's just I may double back on the total team under depending on what it is because I feel like now it's going to be in the 80s and I might be like, but Germany also pushes the pace, so that's a little risky. And I don't think we're gonna get the same exact game twice. I want to say this one's gonna be closer,
yeah.
but I still think Germany just has it.
Yeah, I think that Germany at the end of the day is a much better like team in terms of like what they do. I think that they have a clear pecking order for how the team is supposed to be run, what plays are supposed to run, how the game plan is supposed to go. Whereas with France, I have questions and I have some reservations about that pecking order because like
Yes.
he scored 4 points. Like it's incredible that they won and he scored whatever was it, I think it was 4, right? Like the fact that he scored less than 10 points and they won a game is insane. Especially when it's a game that Rudy Gobert didn't really even play. So it's not like one big went off and the other one didn't. Like obviously
Wemby at
you know,
7. Yeah.
yeah. So at the end of the day, with France, if they get into a jam, I don't think that they really have the guy to give the ball to get them out of the jam.
And we're gonna wrap here. They're really unpredictable just because like we don't know what the rotation is gonna look like. So in this game against Canada, we'll go off the quarterfinal game because this is where they switched everything up. Nicholas Batum played 34 minutes. He took 1 shot and he missed it. 1. That's it. He did a couple things. Otherwise, in terms of key rebounds, a block shot, that was a pretty good one. He did not score at all in 34 minutes. Wembanyama, we talked about him already. Ntilikina, we talked about him already. Gershon Yabusele, very much like him as a player, like very good in EuroLeague, European basketball, just in general throughout his career. But I don't think he's going to give you 22 again necessarily. Cordinaire, I mean, he's been on like a run, so maybe he gets you 20 again on 6 of 10 shooting with 4 or 5 from 3. Former Brooklyn Nets draft rights guy, and I think the Hawks actually picked him in the second round of 2016. Never came over. Like he's got real talent.
Yeah.
Matthias Lizort, he's good. Like I don't know if I could see 13 and 19 minutes off the bench. I probably can actually because in EuroLeague he was,
It's not
second
crazy.
second leading scorer on the EuroLeague champion after Kendrick Nunn, Miami Heat legend. And Evan Fournier came off the bench, had a 3 of 6 from 3. We expect him to do that. That's one thing we're looking at, by the way, is Evan Fournier going to become France's leading scorer. He needs to go crazy though. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I think when we're on buckets 2 nights from now, we're going to be talking about Germany versus Team USA in the final, and France versus Serbia in the bronze. And anything different will surprise me. Anything different.
I think that's where I'm at too. Um, we'll see what happens. Obviously, there's crazy things that can happen in basketball, but at the end of the day, a lot of the results from today were things that we had kind of like poked around at, said was possible. You know, we kind of called it from a side perspective pretty well. So I'm excited for these games. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And now this is where I close and we go to record catch that. Thank you to Joe as always, dragging it back in here. Subscribe to Catch That podcast on all social medias, DSPs, as Joe Budden calls them. And subscribe to this YouTube channel right here, youtube.com/Bryan Fonseca. A couple more Olympic videos on this channel, one or two more, and then we'll be done. And then I'll take a little break, and then we'll come right back with something. I've been wanting to do something on where does Puerto Rico go from here in terms of their national teams, but that's a little bit more niche for my people. So,
Should they get a statehood?
No, because then we wouldn't have an Olympic team. It's probably the answer to that. Julian Strother got to come through. All right. That's it. We'll be back.